the Leah McSweeney Show.
Here we are.
Here we are. It is so nice to meet you. And I feel like you're not going to describe this for yourself, but your listeners have to know that right now you are dressed like the Y2K Lara Croft of dreams. It's slicked back high ponytail. It's cargo pants. It's a tiny little crop top with like a V, I don't know what, it's like asymmetrical V collar. It's like a lot of camo. It's like I'm about to go rescue a relic from a temple in the jungle.
Yeah, look at how you see. You're so good with words, Caroline. Really?
Only when I have a muse and I'm feeling inspired. But so are you. You know, one of the craziest things is I don't know if you've ever told your listeners this, but you told me that you don't even like your book, and I love your book. Your book is great. I thought it was exactly what it was. Just like I thought it was supposed to be like a great read, and that's just like you fucking nailed it. It's inspirational, it's funny, it gives the people what they want in terms of like behind the scenes sort of shit.
Yeah.
And it's just like it what's not to love is my vibe with your book. So you're gonna have to tell me where you're coming from, only so that I can then prove you wrong.
I will. So I think that when I was, first of all, I had a ghostwriter help me, and I really didn't want one, but was suggested that I have one. Now, it's not exactly my voice. Some of it is. Some of it I did right. Okay. And there's no shame in having a ghostwriter. It's my story. Everything is from me, obviously. This was written during a time in my life, though, that was really fucked up. And I didn't know that I was kind of unraveling. And in the book, I say I haven't had it when I talk about being bipolar and being hospitalized and whatever. I say, and I haven't had a depression that like, you know, forced me to not deal with my life, or what's the word I'm looking for, that held me back from living my life in several years. And right fucking 2 months before the book, 3 months before the book, the pub date, I was at Silver Hill Hospital with the worst depression of my life, and then had to come and do a fucking book tour and pretend like I was like a disaster, like suicidal ideation. Like it was, I remember flying to LA for the book tour and going, I hope the plane crashes, because my meds weren't right yet. And it had been a lot, and I had gone through a lot. So, and also fucking Bravo reads the book before you get to do it. That's in your contract. Bravo has to read your book. So my next book that I'm working on, that I'm writing, is going to talk about the things I didn't talk about, my sexual assault. I didn't talk about an abortion. I didn't talk about, there were things I did not talk about. I was on a TV show. I was worried about my image or something, or I was worried about, this is too much. I had so much fear that I was living with, and I was not ready to say certain things. But, you know, in my mind, I always wanted to write a raw fucking like Basketball Diaries, druggy, because I was like doing meth at age 14. You know what I mean? But like it wasn't that. You know, it wasn't that. It's still a great book, and the thing that makes it great is that people resonate with it and love it, and it helps them, and that makes me feel great. But for me personally, my relationship to the book, because it's my creative project that I birthed, right?
Yeah.
Not what I'm happy with. And that's okay. I'm the hardest, most critical person on myself as well. So things have to be now talked about that weren't talked about. And things happened since I wrote the book that have to be talked about. And I don't need Bravo in my business.
That is so, you know, I have always wanted. What?
You get it now? Why I don't?
I totally get it. I mean, I still think the book is, you haven't changed my mind in terms of like, now I'm like, now I don't like the book. No, I still love the book. This just makes me so excited for book number 2. And I hope that I think within memoir, there's this idea that like once you've written about an event, you can't go back and like expand on that event. And I hope I mean, I don't know why you would give a fuck about that, because your whole thing is that like you have just done such a great job of throwing all fucks to the wind. I
had people in my ear saying, yes, write that. You can't write that. And I'm like,
totally. It's honestly, yeah, I think whether you write the book or like in my situation, like when I was a senior at Cambridge, I got into that $500,000 book deal and I sold a book. I sold a book that like wasn't even about me. It's not like I lied at all when I told the publishers that version of me. Like I was at Cambridge, I was wearing the ball gowns in the castles. Like I wasn't making that up. Like the photos of me there weren't AI. Like I was there, but I was also really struggling with addiction and suicide. And my father would eventually kill himself. And, I was in real active addiction during that time. Like I was rock bottoming out. And
yeah.
Yeah. And I ended up getting out of that deal in the most graceless way possible. I should have communicated with the adults who were trying to help me. Instead, I just, I don't know if you've ever treated someone, instead of having the courage to leave yourself, you just treat someone so badly that you yourself are left.
Oh, yeah.
And that's basically what I did. And it was just like, I regret it so much, but I am so glad that that book never existed because, I'm sure people would have loved it. And I'm sure it would have been a delightful, sugary little beach read for them, but it just would not have been true to my artistic vision. And so I just relate so much to, there were obviously horrible consequences to like getting out of that contract that I'm still dealing with today. I only just paid back the $100,000 of my advance in 2020. Like it took me like 5 years to earn that back. And so like I think it's hard to not write the book and it's hard to write the book. And they're just like, you're going to get pros and cons either way when you get yourself into a situation where you're like, you've signed the contract, you didn't realize how much you were going to be like prevented from speaking your actual truth. And it's like, okay, now what do you do? Like, how do you handle it from there? And I think you definitely did the smart grown-up version. And I cannot, the not high on Adderall choice. And I cannot wait for book 2. It's going to be so good. This just makes me so excited for you.
Fine, thank you. I'm excited for your number 2 book also, because this book is fucking amazing. You were like such a beautiful writer. I just cannot. I feel like I'm right there with you, like in Sweden, or were you in Scotland? I don't remember. Like,
yeah, I was in all of those places.
You were everywhere. Yes. I'm there, like in the cold lakes, and like with the little flowers and the hair, and but like I also didn't know. I didn't know like how. I didn't really know your background. I didn't realize like you come from like such a brilliant family, but like that's just plagued with a lot of like mental illness and addiction and tragedy. But I also really relate to, it's like you had a lot, then you didn't, and you were still with a lot in that world of having all the people being socialites and things like that. And I really relate to that with going to Sacred Heart in a like not as intense way maybe, but like it's hard to be that girl.
Yeah, I think it's just so hard to be that girl. And it's also really hard to be that girl when it's like, it's hard to even metabolize that difficulty because it's so riddled with guilt. Like, I grew up in a hoarder house,
right.
But like, I didn't grow up in like a slum. Like, like it's, I just feel like whenever I try to express, pain about feeling like I didn't measure up to these socialites around me. I feel ashamed for even feeling ashamed in the first place. And it's a vicious cycle. So it's just
that's bullshit though. That's bullshit, because you know what? Like it doesn't matter what, like it's your inner psyche, it's your soul. Like you can be a billionaire and still battle with like not feeling good enough. And like what money is like fucking not, it's fake shit.
For so long I was caught up in like the pain Olympics, but I think, having gone through addiction is such a great equalizer in terms of just like it, as any form of like health can be, any sort of health crisis, but it really can affect anyone anywhere. And I want to talk to you so much about your bipolar diagnosis. Is that so?
I don't.
Where are you with that?
Yeah. I have been told now by like in Silver Hill Hospital, my doctor, she was like, I don't think you have bipolar 2.
You know what's so crazy is I wasn't gonna say it, which is why I phrased it, but I'm no fucking medical professional. I haven't been to a day of med school, but I have obviously my family's riddled with mental health issues. Father's dead by suicide. My uncle killed himself. There's just like a lot of a lot of distant cousins have bipolar, but more than anything, I spent a lot of time trying to diagnose my father in my 20s. I was reading about autism and the spectrum. I was reading about bipolar 1, bipolar 2, and I just like reading your book, and it just but what the fuck do I know? But I'm fascinated to hear about that. What did your doctor say?
Well, this is my take on it. And
Yeah.
I have always, so you, but also the psychiatry like field is, I had a doctor once tell me, we don't know what we're doing. This is the wild, wild west. We throw medication at you and we see what works. Everybody is different. Everyone's fucking like brain chemistry mixed with their fucking like diet, mixed with their environment, mixed with their what happened to them as a kid, where they're at now, if they exercise or not. It's just like everything combined. And I came up with my own, like I was like, okay, bipolar 2, like okay, that's fine, you know, but I was like not totally sold on it. No shame in it at all, but
No.
but they'll diagnose you with bipolar 2 if you have just one hypomanic episode. And hypomania for bipolar 2, those characteristics are very similar to alcoholics that are untreated, which is like hypersexuality, overspending,
Yeah.
a lot of energy. I mean, it's just like it's like kind of vague. I'm like, maybe I was really horny that week and like was on one and I was trying to escape my feelings, but it's followed by a depression. And I do have major depression. I've had major depressive episodes really badly. And so I definitely have something going on, but I'm like, I don't need these labels for shit. Yeah, they're helpful sometimes, but what's the difference if I have bipolar 2 or not? Like the medication, I take Pristique. It's an SNRI. If I ever have a depression that I had a year and a half ago ever again, I will probably do ketamine therapy. I don't think I'm ever going to take another psych med again. I've literally been on every single fucking thing, and I'm not taking lithium because it's really bad for your liver and kidneys and shit. And I'm in a good place now where it's like I still struggle with like anxiety, but my therapist is like, this is trauma, and we use that word so much now, but it's like I really believe that even all these like autoimmune diseases and shit, I feel like this is stress and trauma in people's body that's manifesting physically.
The number one thing I want to live to see in my lifetime is aliens, but right close, number 2, like right there, runner up, is I so want to see us understand or make the same sort of leaps that we have in modern medicine with physical health. I want to see those same leaps and bounds in mental health. Like 100 fucking years ago, or actually, I think penicillin was the early 1910s when it was invented, so 110 years ago. Like we didn't have penicillin. Like people still died from like infections. Like polio could be a terminal like a diagnosis. Like so many vaccines and just like even just basic like doctors weren't washing hands sort of things in like World War I, like crazy shit like that. Like, and it's just so many preventable. It's such a tragedy how many preventable deaths there were. Like looking back on just times before we understood what a fucking germ was, and like in the same.
But our brains.
Yeah, our brains are 91% gray matter, and we don't know what gray matter is. Like, we just have no idea. And like, I love how we can look back on history now, and like when French kings died and the people who actually lived through that part of history were just like, the French king died and we don't know why. We'll call it the French disease. And now we're like, that was syphilis. That king had syphilis. I'm like, we know exactly what it is. I so hope we get to that point with like I don't even think we have the language for it yet. Like, it's funny that you say that, like, you don't feel like there's a word for like what it is that you have. You have certain things of other things. I totally feel that way. I feel like there is, I definitely feel like I have depression. I sometimes feel like, and this is hard to explain because I don't have the words for it, because I don't think I'm schizophrenic. Like, I don't have hallucinations, but I do, like, I've always believed that I was going to be a famous memoirist. And like, I always thought that I'd go to Cambridge, and I always thought that I'd have like a big scandal. And like, I've thought this is ever since I was little. And I just don't think that's like normal. I think it's like diet crazy. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like Coca-Cola Zero for schizophrenia. It's like what I have. And I just don't think,
like, no, that doesn't mean you're schizophrenic or crazy. That means that you had dreams that you went after.
I don't, but like, they weren't all ambitions. Like the scandal thing. Like, I swear that like
You
something that I don't talk about a lot because I just don't think it's a relatable feeling for anyone at all. And I think memoirs are most powerful when they make the personal universal. And I just like don't understand how this would ever be a universal thing. Is that I just like, after Natalie sold me out to the cut, part of me felt, I mean, I was grieving my father's suicide. I was dealing with the trauma of the public shaming, but there was a small kernel inside of me that felt relief, because I just felt like now that I don't have to be waiting for the other shoe to drop, like now that scandal that I always feared has happened and it's behind me. And I still feel that way. And but that, I feel like that's crazy. Like, it's not like I had a dream and I went after it and I like had ambitions. It's like I felt haunted by these by this, I don't know, by, they weren't like premonitions. Like, it's not like I think I saw the future. I just felt like strangely doomed in a way that like I think is like borderline psychotic. I don't know. I do think it's worth noting that my uncle like dropped out of Yale because he thought the government like implanted a radio chip in his back molar. Like, I just don't think we understand yet the way like having that sort of crazy in the blood is passed down. And I just don't want to like live long enough to see us like understand that down to the molecule and the germ. Like, I want us to see, like, I want to see us just look back at suicide as like the sort of preventable death, like the sort of preventable tragedy that we look back on, like very simple wounds that got infected and like killed people. Like, I just so want to live to see that, because
I think we will, I really do. I think that also, I feel like suicide is like, an addiction. Like, this is like, we're also living like modern times maybe like aren't as great as we think. Like, I mean, it's like, wow, we have everything. I can go on my phone and like order like fucking like underwear and a cheeseburger and it's here in like, within an hour. But maybe like all of this like isn't good for us, I mean, maybe like like technology and like, I don't know, there's a lot of breaking down of things that's like kind of also happening.
yeah, whenever I think that way, I just think that, as women, like, we wouldn't be able to read or be having this conversation because we'd be subjugated and slavery would still exist. And so I always,
but
no,
couldn't we like be able to read and also vote and also like open our own lines of credit, and also like maybe Instagram wasn't the best thing?
yes, true. But I just think it's like, I guess I don't long for the past. I long for, whenever I start thinking about like a pastoral world where we're more connected to nature and Instagram doesn't exist, I don't think of the past. I think of a future that hasn't happened yet, because when I think of the past, I just think, damn, I could never be a writer because I wouldn't know how to fucking read. But I want to ask you a question about sobriety. Are you totally sober now? Alcohol too?
Totally.
That hasn't changed since the book.
No weed, no alcohol, like no drugs, obviously. And well, things happened after the book that I'm gonna get into next.
That's what I want to catch up on, because I'm like, I know everything up until the book, but it's been a year and a half.
I know. Well, I'm gonna save some of it, but like,
Yes.
I had to go through things, and I was really like kind of fighting my addiction like issues for many years. Even my whole like I did 9 years of not drinking, but I was like dabbling in like mushrooms and like weed, and like I did Molly, and towards the end, and then I started drinking again. But like I never really fully gave myself to sobriety. I did for a few years in terms of like 12-step stuff, but I'm a little bit more serious about that now. And it's been a long, like, I mean, I went to rehab so many times, and it's just really been, it's kind of crazy to think about. Just, it's also like alcohol and drugs is just a little part of it. Like once you take it away, you have to deal with everything that you have been running away from, or trying to numb, or trying to like keep, quiet. And I think that's really the challenging part. Isn't the challenging part is not like not drinking and doing drugs. The challenging part is dealing with me.
Totally.
Right?
I'll be so fucking for real with you. So I think that someday I'm going to have to be completely sober. I'm 31 right now, and I quit Adderall. I realized the other day that I had stopped like counting the years. I think it's been like 7 years or something, which is great. Like when you get to the point where you stop counting the years. But I quit Adderall 7-ish years ago, I think. Maybe 8, maybe no, I think 7. But the point is that the way that I quit Adderall was, to paraphrase Hunter S. Thompson talking about doing drugs and alcohol, this worked for me, but I don't think it would work for everyone. And that being said, I don't recommend it. I just stayed fucking drunk and high on ecstasy and just alcohol. It was a lot of alcohol. I really don't like doing cocaine. It gives me the feeling of like getting water up your nose at the pool when you were little. Like I just like I like the high, but it's just like I hate that feeling in my nose. But I just stayed absolutely fucking shit-faced on anything but amphetamines for 2 months. And I stayed in Europe for like another 8 months just because Adderall's illegal in all of the EU. It's like a literal illegal drug.
Fucking crazy. That's what it like. America is fucked up.
Oh, I know. I often think that the way that and I totally think, like, I don't think that Adderall like shouldn't exist. Like I think some people have ADHD and it genuinely helps them, and I respect their lived experience. I just wish that they would like respect mine too when I say that like it was super addictive for me. And I think someday we'll look back on how we're giving out Adderall willy-nilly to children now, the way that we gave out all those barbiturates to housewives in the 1950s. Like barbiturates are a great drug. Glad they exist. They should still exist. They really help some people. We might have overprescribed them for a couple decades there,
The thing that's weird is that people love to like people love shitting on America, rightfully so. But then
Yeah.
but then the same people won't be like, maybe the fucking big pharma and the FDA doesn't have my best interest in mind.
Yeah.
The fact that I can order methamphetamine on like an app, like on a fucking app, like I get all these Instagram ads for fucking for Adderall. Like I was a meth addict. Like I don't want to do fucking Adderall, and I had a psychiatrist being like, maybe you're ADD. I had my brain scan. I'm the least ADD. I don't have any ADD brain at all. Like I don't. I don't. I can focus. I'm fine. Like I don't need it. But it's like, there is a problem in America with overprescribing medication. Why do people get so offended by that? We're not trying to take drugs away from you.
Why does it make me nervous to say I fully agree with that statement? Like it's like
No, I'm done being nervous about shit, because it's like I can't, like I'm just, it's too much. Like people just it's like my opinion about my life doesn't have to do with your personal drug use or Adderall use or benzodiazepine use. Do whatever the fuck you want. You can shoot heroin for all I care. It's like, it's not when you give your opinion on something that has to do with your own personal experience, people think you're like coming for them, and it's like,
yes.
chill the fuck out. Can we talk? Did you watch The Idol?
No, I didn't. I've just been so busy gluing books. I haven't seen like a movie or a TV show in like since fucking May or April. But I was gonna say about drinking that I so I still drink now, not as much as I did during that detoxing time, but I definitely think that like I like it too much. And it's like it's under control in the sense that, you know, I'm never drinking to the point where I'm so hungover I can't work. Like maybe I do that actually like once a month, but like my life, my career is great. I'm not making any terrible like interpersonal choices. Like, you know, like I don't like scream at my friends or do anything like that. But it's also just like I don't think it scares me that I am so scared of giving up alcohol. And I think that I think eventually it'll reach a point where like I'll have to give it up. I just feel very I just know I like it too much. And it frightens me. Because it also like one of the reasons I like it is because I get to just like run away from my problems. Like once I start drinking, like at dinner, like from 6 p.m. until I go to bed at like 12, that's like a third of my day where like I don't have to be present in my own mind. And it's just so I see the behavior in myself and I see the attraction to wanting to disappear from myself. And I totally agree that the hardest part of sobriety is just like it's what you it's
yeah.
it's not doing the drugs, it's what you fill the time that you used to spend doing the drugs with, you know, like how do you manage that time?
It's from 6 p.m. to midnight.
Yeah.
I'm like dealing with my brain.
Me or what okay, honestly, be so fucking for real with me right now, Leah. What do you do from 6 p.m. to midnight and how do you fall asleep and what are you doing for fun during those hours?
I know. Well, look, you gotta exercise. I exercise, you know, and not necessarily between 6 and midnight. I like doing it earlier, but like it helps later with my brain. And so when I'm sick, like I have been with this crazy sinus infection for 2 weeks, I haven't been able to work out. I start getting like, you know,
By the way, your listeners should know that Leah, we rescheduled twice and she personally called me to reschedule because she didn't want me to feel like you were blowing me off or you were mad at me. And I just thought that was so kind. And I just thought that your listeners should know that you're that nice behind the scenes because it's just you're a fancy famous lady. You didn't have to do that. And I really appreciated it because I would have thought that. I would have thought like, oh my God, did I do something wrong? Like, is she mad at me? Like, so thank you.
But look, it's not being sober is not easy. It is fucking hard. But after reading your book, you'd probably do well not drinking.
Yeah. No, I fully know that it's like, I know it's a problem because I don't want to give it up. Like things where you couldn't really care. Like, you know, if someone, I love pizza, but like if I had to like the thought of giving up pizza for the rest of my life sounds like a bummer, but it doesn't strike the fear of God into my heart, you know, like, but the idea of giving up alcohol, that's like makes me want to fight, you know, and like that's what's scary.
It is scary. And it's like, look, if and when you're ready, you'll do it.
Yeah, I will. But honestly,
you're young.
The reason
like, you know, you'll figure it out.
I totally think that someday I will, as soon as it becomes a problem that's like unmanageable, I'll have to address it. The only thing now is like, now it's not a problem and it's manageable. But I totally, whenever I just talk to anyone for whatever reason who is like completely sober, even though I'm like just amphetamine sober, I always think in my head, I'm like, yeah, we have that in common. I'm just not there yet, you know? Like yeah. I'm also going to be not drinking alcohol someday for sure. But how did you find your way back to sobriety after the housewives thing? You talked in the book about being on, so you're starting drinking and you're starting the show. And those sort of like, you're starting to drink again and you start the show. And then you get sober on the show, after the show?
I got sober after the show again, and I really didn't want to give up alcohol. Like I really did not, you know?
Understand that.
Yeah. And it was like the pandemic. It was like a couple weeks into the pandemic. It was March 31st, actually, of 2020. and the show was airing April 2nd. And I had no idea how I was going to be received or I was going to be shown or edited or anything like that. And I was drinking, I was quarantined with Kiki and her dad and my sister and her baby and her, fiance at the time. And me and my sister both had drinking problems and we were hiding from each other that we were drinking. Like, well, I was actually openly drinking at first. And then Rob wanted me to stop. And then I was like, I said to my sister, dude, I think I need to have a drink. I'm sorry. I don't want to cause she was trying to stop drinking and she's like, oh, I've been hiding beer cans in the laundry. I've been drinking all day. And then the next day, I think I went to grab a bottle of wine and Rob was like, don't even fucking think about it. We're not going to be quarantined with you shit-faced acting a fool. Cause I get crazy when I drink. Also, it's not like I drink and I'm calm and my daughter's there. I'm like, like in front of her. Like, I mean, really, like, I'm like twerking and like, being insane. And, I just want to have a good time. And he was like, don't even fucking think about it, Leah. And I was like, ugh, And I basically kind of cold turkey, like stopped drinking again. But it was like not really like I was sober, I was like kind of using pills and I was like, but I wasn't drinking because I was handling that. Now I'm like not abusing anything at all. And I had to get honest about prescription medication that I was on and how I was using it and when I was taking it. And, it's really between you and God and you and yourself or whatever. Like, when you're drinking or abusing drugs to escape something versus doing it in a different way, But let's talk about you. Can I just tell you? So I had to go back and look at some of this stuff because I remember when it happened, when the Cut article came out, and it wasn't something that I was like, I didn't think, and honestly, I had to reread it. I don't understand what was so controversial. Like, I don't understand why people, like, why this became a giant thing. Like, you did not do anything that was that, like, egregious to me. And also now, Natalie is a snitch.
Yeah, she is big time snitch.
Snitch, it's giving snitch.
Yeah. She always said that she'd never felt guilty about making my secrets public because I was already a public figure and like living in the public. And I always just felt so hurt whenever she talks about how she feels no remorse, because I just feel like everything I told her and everything we shared, like I wasn't like a journalist where I was like on the record. Like she was my best friend and like I thought she would I don't tell journalists some of the things that she like I don't let journalists in like that. I let my friends in like that. And I always found that just because I was like a public figure that she felt like that was okay is crazy. But the reason it went so viral is because so she told me she was going to write that article 10 days before it came out. And at the time I had so she in 2019 she pitched the Cut after my creativity workshops went viral. And this was, I went like mini viral as a scam. Basically what happened was I had planned these creativity workshops over Instagram stories because at the time
it's not like you're it's not like you're actually a scammer. You just like signed up for something. You like with the book, it's like you got offered something that you couldn't end up doing because it was a huge task and you were like on fucking drugs. Like,
yeah, no. The creativity workshop things were like, I was very unlucky because at the time, so the timeline was I quit Adderall and got out of my book deal pretty much like the same day. Like the day that my publishers were like, we're done, I was like, I'm also done living like this. In a weird way, them releasing me from that contract, even though it automatically put me into $100,000 of debt because I'd spent the advance. In this strange, curious way, it also filled me with hope because like suddenly I could have the dream again of like making my first book just as dark and twisted as I wanted it to be. And that in a strange fucking way gave me something to live for. I was like, I can't waste my life on Adderall. So I like booked a one-way ticket to England, stayed drunk for 2 months and in England for like, or at least in the UK or Europe for the next 8 months. And then it took like another year of coming back to the US, therapy 3 times a week with like a therapist who specialized in like addiction and like the AA based program, an AA based program of one-on-one treatment. And when I finally emerged from that, it had been like 18 months since I'd posted on Instagram, and my whole grid was just the fairy tale Cambridge stories. And I needed to make money because I was in $100,000 worth of debt. But I was afraid to post on my Instagram. So I planned these events over Instagram stories that were constantly changing over the 6 weeks that I planned them. It was just trying to bring like the chaos of my brand to life.
Why were you scared to post on Instagram?
Oh, because the only thing that my whole grid was just fairy tale stories. And I had a lot of fear because it was all fairy tale stuff. And I just sort of thought that perhaps I didn't know where to begin coming clean publicly about what I'd been going through with suicide and addiction. So I thought I'll sort of bring the chaotic experience of my brand and all of our little inside jokes that I have with my followers to life in these like 6-hour events, like plant-filled event spaces across the country. I'll keep it small, just like 40 people at a time. I'll make lunch or get lunch catered. We'll eat salad on the floor, cookies, white wine, goodie bags with jokes. And I'll just, the same way that comedians go to like open mics to like workshop new material,
Yeah.
I'll tell these stories in person, and I'll figure out a way to tell them. And this will be, but it won't have to be online, and I won't have to I was only 18 months into sobriety, so I won't have to subject myself online to like a comment section of people sort of like evaluating my stories about Adderall. Because although that I knew that day would have to come eventually, I just wasn't ready. And so in the beginning of 2019, this really compelling Twitter thread took screenshots of like so the events changed as I was planning them over my Instagram stories. She took these screenshots of things that like I had originally planned for the event and promised, and later they changed, and I figured out what was viable and what was not. And I updated people, offered refunds, like literally 1 or 2 people ever wanted their money back because of how the event was changing. And then she compared it, like made a thread with photos from the day of. And to make things unluckier, this was like 2 days after both of the Fire Festival documentaries had dropped.
Mm.
And the headline of like, this influencer is a one-woman fire festival got translated into like more languages than I had the heart to count. And it went totally viral. Meanwhile, in LA, Natalie reaches out to the Cut. Like, they didn't know she existed. They weren't like begging her to write this story, but pitches the story to them. And I don't find out until August of that year when she emails me to let me know that she'll be writing about our friendship for the Cut. And when I'd gone viral that first time for the creativity workshops, I had really, I tried to clear my name. Like, I felt like I made a niche event for a niche community. And like, even if you thought $165 was like way too much to spend 6 hours eating lunch and like listening to stories that I told you and getting a goodie bag, like a lot of people didn't think that. Right. And I shouldn't have. I really listened to the outrage of people who never would have bought a ticket in the first place. And I apologized. I refunded everyone. I canceled the tour. And that just made everything worse. People just saw that as an admission of my guilt. And so when Natalie emailed me to let me know that a fact checker from New York Mag would be reaching out and that she was writing about me for the Cut, I just knew that like what I'd done first had failed. Like, trying to fight it didn't work. And so I had to try some.
You talk about
yes,
that.
Exactly.
I love your description of like how to deal with the cancellation. Like, it's so good. And I truly like, I learned this information through trial and error. So like, please, if anyone's out there, like, learn from my mistakes. Like, don't apologize. I sort of think of it sometimes as like
you know how Newton's laws of gravity and quantum physics are totally different? Like the laws of gravity that apply here on Earth actually don't apply the very, very small scale and the very, very large scale, like planets, like at a certain, like once you get to a certain quantity of mass, normal laws of gravity don't apply. And I always think about that with like publicity. Like if within our friendship, our budding friendship, if you suddenly were outraged at me and you were said that I'd really fucked up and I'd done something wrong, even if I didn't agree with you, the right thing to do in like a one-on-one healthy adult relationship, be it a friendship or a romantic partner, is try to see where they're coming from. Apologize for any hurt you've caused. Really take their feelings seriously. Newton's laws of gravity don't apply when it gets to the scale of the internet. You're dealing with it's quantum physics.
Yep.
And you should not try to see where they're coming from. You should not apologize for any hurt you've caused.
Hell
you
no.
should, what you should do is just lean into whatever. Don't try to clear your name. You'll drown. You'll expend too much energy too soon. You got to survive this riptide by swimming straight into the current. And so when you ask, like, you said something like, I really don't understand what you did that was so wrong. I think something that people really forget about the viral moment of that article is that I had 10 days where and right before the cut piece came out, the cut did not have, this may have changed now post cut piece, but before that piece came out, the cut did not have the greatest access in the world to readers interested in Caroline Calloway like I did. And I just nonstop pushed that piece saying that it was going to be so explosive. It was going to be like, I'm terrified of it. And by the time the piece came out, people were tagging the cut constantly, like blue checkmark people on New York media Twitter, like begging for the piece to come out. And like, I think it's sometimes I feel like I don't get enough credit for how much I teed that article up to fucking go viral.
Will you also talk about, like, I don't know, are you kind of engaging in like performance art, like with some of this stuff? You are like, you're kind of course, like, obviously, right?
No, totally. I mean, like selling snake oil, like that's
or like, right, you're not,
that's amazing.
Okay, so you kind of helped the cut piece go viral, which makes sense.
I feel like I more than helped it. I feel like
you did it.
I feel like I don't feel 100% responsible for it. There were a lot of other things to consider. Like, Natalie's not like, I don't think she's the best writer, but she's not a bad writer. It's not unbearable to read. I think that played like if it made your eyes bleed to read her writing, that really would have prevented it from going viral. So like that definitely contributed. I also think that there's a real the Anna Delvey story had just come out that summer in the cut. So I think that really played a factor as well. And I also think that like what?
People had an appetite.
People had an appetite. They were already calling it the summer of scam, And then I think on top of that, there was also I think, hating, I say this in the book, that hating extremely online pretty women is the last guilt-free prejudice our world has left. And it's strange, like the only sort of person that you can just like absolutely shit on and still be considered like a great person is like women with a lot of followers who are conventionally attractive. Like we just hate them and we just think it's so okay to like hate them. So I just think it also really touched a cult.
Sorry.
What? No, I was just gonna say it touched a cultural nerve. So I think I don't take full responsibility, but I think if you had to put all 4 of those things on a pie chart of what made the cut thing go viral, I think my nonstop promotion leading up to the 10 days before would be the biggest slice of that pie.
No, I think so too. I also really love in the book how you talk about women kind of like upholding the patriarchy sometimes. Like you talk about like feminism and like patriarchy in like such a great and such a like nuanced way that's like not like, cause sometimes some people are so like obnoxious about it, right? It's like it's their fault about everything, but like but it is sometimes their fault with a lot of shit. And as women, no matter how rich we are, no matter how white we are, no matter what, we still have to deal with bullshit from men and the patriarchy. But then in some ways we get to, as white women and as women with money, we do get to like use it to our advantage in some ways too. I mean, you know.
Totally. It's never been lost on me for a single moment that I would have clicked on an article about a one woman influencer fire festival, and that I would have read Natalie's article and really bought into her. She so powerfully activated this sexist patriarchal stereotype that, you know, dumb equals pretty and smart equals ugly in women. Like, you can't, like, she really made me out to be, she didn't have to like open herself up to a libel case and claim outright that she wrote my Cambridge captions, which she didn't. In fact, one of the next books I'm publishing is the Cambridge captions, since I own the copyright to every single one of those words because I wrote all of the captions that made me famous alone. But people believed her because they were just like, without even thinking about it, we're so ready to buy into that stereotype. And I just like, it's never been lost on me, not even for a single second, that I would have clicked on all the articles about me and I would have believed them, because I just, the poison is like in the air we breathe. It's all around us. Like, even if we consider ourselves feminists, we're always ingesting shit about what women are. And like, you know, just the other day, a friend came to visit.
Show. Like, it's like,
What?
I was like, hello, I was on like Bravo. Like I was on, you know, it's like, we want to hold each other up, but like, do we, you know?
Totally. You know, just the other day, a friend came to visit me from LA, just this past weekend, and she was looking for something in my kitchen, and she has two children, and she just like, I think she was looking for like forks for us. We were like sitting down to eat, and she like found the silverware drawer on the first try, and I said, "Oh, it's your mom instincts. Like, look at those mom instincts." And I was like, "Would I ever fucking say that? Dad instincts?" Like, I literally like, and like,
I think
I'm
that's cute.
so what?
I think that's cute, mom instincts.
I know, but it's just like, I just hate how we like associate motherhood with like the kitchen and domestic things. Like, I hate that a dad wouldn't be expected to like know where shit is in the kitchen, you
Yeah,
know? And I just hate that in myself, that it's like so internalized that like, even when I'm trying to compliment my friends, I'm actually like, my own sexism is showing. Like, it's so internalized. And I have so many questions about Bravo, by the way, because, you know, um, someone who is, I wouldn't say we're like friends, but or it's tough because like she's like a work friend, you know, like we I would say she's like a friend from work. Because like our work is the internet, and like we are, in terms of the job, I think she's wonderful. Hannah Berner is also a Bravo girly. I think
I love.
she
Yeah,
stopped doing Summer House.
she's
Or
not.
she's still doing it.
She hasn't been on Summer House for a few years. I wouldn't call her a Bravo
Yeah.
girl. Or yeah, I don't think she's.
Okay, well that, no,
But
okay, that is
yeah,
just okay. It I am revealing how few Bravo girlies I know, that for me, Hannah is Hannah and you, two people who are not on Bravo currently and haven't been for a year at least.
yeah.
That you guys are like my Bravo girlies in my head. So
Well,
forgive me, but
no. To you, we'll be your Bravo girlies. You know
yeah.
what I mean? But yeah, I don't think we let's really like consider ourselves that. But I don't want to speak for her. But yeah, but Hannah's awesome. Yeah, she's
Yeah,
super.
she's amazing. But she came out of Summer House with like an amazing female friendship in Paige. But I think that's really rare. And I think especially in the like Housewives franchise, it must be so hard to be constantly pitted against each other.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I see, I like all the, I mean, most of the women I've met through the show, whether it was like on my New York show or I met women on other franchises that I'm like really good friends with, and there's a camaraderie, obviously not with all of them, but with a lot of them. I think the problem is more with the the system of it, the machine behind it is not set up for women to actually really get along. There's like a expectation when you're
That you'll
filming.
fight.
Yeah, there's an
Yeah.
expectation.
To
You better,
have conflict.
of course. And it's like it's getting just dark. Like I used to watch Jersey. I was like a Jersey watcher, and I started watching it recently now, but I'm like, damn, this is like bad. Like this is fucked up. This is like a family, you know, or like just some of the stuff. And it's like, I know. And then on some of the other franchises, like, you know, like there was like sexual harassment, like, you know, accusations. And there's like women who have been ripping off like elderly people. And, you know, but there's an expectation to bring pain to the show. You better inflict pain on someone or be ready to get it inflicted on you. And it's like, I don't would not have another season in me, even if they asked me back. Cause it's like, I can't do that to my life or myself, my psyche, my spirit. It's like, it's rough. My hats off to all the women who do it. Cause it's fucking not pleasant.
Can I tell you a secret that I've actually never told anyone? And I will actually, this is the perfect place to tell it because it's been a couple years. I don't think it'll be an issue for like Viacom and MTV. And I also, this will be a great way for me to promote this podcast because I'll be like, go listen to this secret that I've never told anyone before. So, I mean, I've told friends, but I've never told this publicly before. I've had one brush with reality TV. And it was like around December, November of 2020. So like the first holiday season of quarantine during COVID. And are you familiar with the reality TV show Siesta Key?
No.
It's really, there's no reason you should be. Its target demographic is very much sorority girls. And one of the reasons I think it's okay to tell this story is that the show just ended. Like this past, I think January or February, it like finally was the series finale. It went for 6 seasons. It was this very much MTV reality show that's filmed here in Sarasota, Florida, where I am now. And I was in Sarasota for the pandemic. I came here to like be with my mom for the beginning and I just stayed. And I don't know how you were doing by the holidays of the first COVID holidays. I was going stir crazy. I had passed the part of the pandemic where I was like fearful and like apocalyptic and just had this primal terror that the world was ending, and I'd officially gone bored with it all. Like I was bored. I was going stir crazy. And I knew that this reality TV show was filmed here in Sarasota. And so I called my manager up and I was like, I have to be on this show. And he's like, Carolyn, like there's like, have you lost your mind? Like you don't want to go on this MTV reality TV show for people to like cosplay spring break. Like this is like not your vibe at all. Like this is a terrible idea. And I was like, no, it's a great idea. I have to do it. Because in my mind, what I thought was all of the people in Sarasota who are influencers are on this show. And they all have somewhere between like, I would say like 100,000 to 800,000 Instagram followers. And I sort of thought, you know, I bet some people on the show are, and the show is amazing. I love this show. I'd binge watched 3 seasons. And this is when I call my manager. I found out they're currently filming season 4. I was like, I need to be on it. I loved the show. Loved it. It was so just trashy and delicious and weirdly like cinematic, like beautifully shot, like drone shots of manatees and stuff. Like low-key a nature documentary. Loved it. Loved the whole vibe. Yeah. And I was like, I bet a few of these people are exactly how they seem on the show. I bet there are a few people who are truly assholes. But, you know, I'm not really like completely what I seem like online. Like it's some of it is entertainment. And like it'll be really nice for me to have like friends here in Sarasota who like get it, who get the online thing. Because I don't know if you've ever like, sometimes you can sound like a real fucking dick when you try to like when you try to like vent to your friends who don't have like a big following about like influencer problems, about just like people in your comments or like I don't know, a post not getting enough likes, like silly stuff like that, that it's just like it doesn't go over well in conversation with someone who doesn't get it. And I was like, this will be great. I can have friends who can get it, and this will be wonderful. So my manager talks to Viacom. I do some interviews, blah, blah, blah. He gets me this amazing deal. Usually they don't pay girls at all to go on the show because they just are sort of exploitative like that. They expect the girls to do it for the clout. But I get this great contract. It's like a 5 episode minimum, 2 grand an episode, which is just like whether or not like, and I don't have to do anything for the plot. Like I can just be there. I just have to show up to film and I get 10 grand. Wonderful. Let's do it. So the first day I'm supposed to film, we go on one of the main guys' yachts and I make handmade candles for all of the cast and crew to like give as like welcome gifts. And as soon as I get there, the main girl who like narrates the show, I give her candle when we're standing on the dock. Her name's Juliet, and right in front of me, she takes the candle and just drops it and just goes, "Oops." And do you know what? I'm so fucking dumb. I genuinely thought she was clumsy because, like, it didn't even occur to my little pea brain.
She's doing her job.
Well, no, but this is what's key. Cameras were off. We weren't mic'd up. This was like before the day started. This was just like getting to like behind the scenes. I was just like handing out my candles as the crew set up.
Okay,
and she dropped it, shatters on the dock. I'm like, oh my gosh, don't worry. I'm so clumsy too. Like, I'll bring you an, I'm making so many of these candles during quarantine. This is my hobby. I'll bring you another one. Like, all that, it doesn't even occur to me. The next thing that they do, and this is the craziest part about my experience with reality TV and why I quit, they were so nice to me on camera. The shit they did to me was all when we were like not mic'd, not being filmed, or one thing was caught on mics, but we weren't, no cameras were filming a totally different scene. We were just waiting around to be called to set. And so the next thing is that the main guy whose yacht it was, the yacht gets going and he hands me his phone and he's like, follow yourself, like add yourself, like I want to follow you. And he had blocked me before he had handed me his phone. And so stupid me, I searched for myself. I can't find it. And I wouldn't find out later until his friend told me, like the prank. But I was like, oh, I think there's no service. Like we're at sea. Like I'll do it when we get back. Like it's Caroline Calloway. It's just my name. And then when I finally figured out they were being mean to me is when we were sitting around waiting for our scene to be filmed, and Sam's best friend Mike, we were just sitting there and these beautiful girls were like filming a music video for this guy Brandon, and Juliet, and who's the main girl, and Jordan were like dancing on these like jet skis, and Mike, Sam's best friend, was like, aren't the girls so beautiful? And I was like, oh my god, yeah, gorgeous. And he's like, don't you think they're 10s? And I was like, yeah, they're fucking hot. And he's like, is it hard for you being the only 6 here?
This was off camera.
We were
these, first of all, you're a fucking 10 girl, but these people are fucking horrible. Who are these people? What? And why the episodes ever come out? Were you on the show?
No. So anyways, luckily that last insult we were mic'd up for, and I actually used those tapes because thankfully the mics like were still on to get out of the contract, because I was like, I had signed it, but I was like, I'm sorry, like I literally like can't deal with like this. Like would understand if we were doing this on camera, like whatever. I should have known better signing up for a reality TV show, but like this sort of like toxicity on set, like I can't deal with this. And so I got out of the contract because that was on tape, and they played it back, and yeah, and they just cut. And what's so funny is that day on the yacht the other girls ended up having insane drama. And what's so funny is that for the rest of the season, they would always cut back to like that day on the yacht, and they just had to like cut me out of every shot because I ended up not being on the show. And it was so funny to me, but it was just like, it was so awful. Like the people I met on reality TV, like were just like, they were the meanest when the cameras weren't rolling. It was just so crazy.
Wow. No, I feel lucky because the women, most of the women that I've gotten to work with are cool. Not I did another spinoff that was on Peacock, Ultimate Girls Trip, and some of them I did not have a good experience with at all. And I think they're like the lamest bitches I ever met. But like the New York women and then like some other women from other franchises I absolutely adore. But that's crazy. Now I need to watch this. Wait, it's season 4? What's it called? Siesta Key? I've never
It's
even.
called Siesta Key, and I'm pretty sure it was season 4.
Oh my God, Caroline!
Yeah,
Wow.
it was
Imagine
crazy.
if you were on that show. I mean, that'd be so random too. But that's hilarious.
So
They were probably
funny
so
too.
jealous.
It was so funny too because like none of them could read. Like I'm sorry, only a few of them could read, and like they were just like it was just like I don't know what I was thinking. Like my vibe of like Cambridge, like none of them had like when they go to like New York, all these girls like all they want to do is like go to Lavo, and like it's just like they all like think like New York is like really I don't know, like the big city, and like their hair is always like in a blowout. It's just like very like middle America, like sorority girl. And or it's not even like they were sorority girls. I like middle America sorority girls. It's like they were what I'm trying to communicate is like Siesta Key as a franchise was like designed to be trash entertainment for sorority girls, which is like a very specific kind of not like sororities weren't even a part of it. It was just like designed. Anyways, it was just like I stuck out like a sore thumb, and it low key could have been hilarious for me to just like be on this show with all these Siesta Key people, but I just, yeah, it was,
Okay, I'm
yeah.
looking.
Oh, and then another thing is that, so the candles that I like gave the cast, the crew were so appreciative of the candles. They were so sweet and they thought it was like such a thoughtful gift, and like I had been careful to like get a head count from the showrunner of like how many people would be on set that day, and so that I'd have enough. But like the girls who were like on the show, like the cast members, they like so all the cast members like put their stuff in like one area on the yacht, and they all like got together and they like put their candles like in a little pile like that wasn't with their stuff. Like it was just a subtle thing to show that whereas like every other and you could see these candles very obviously because they were all in like these ceramic bowls. And like all the crew, like you could see them like had all placed their candle like on their backpack, and like they had just gone out of their way to just like leave their candles like on this table and like not put it with their stuff.
Okay,
It just made me feel very small and terrible.
Siesta Key talent, fuck off. Like I hate that story. That makes me pissed off. Like fuck them.
It was so bad. And I sat on this story for so long because the show was still going on and I just didn't want to piss off MTV or Viacom because I had signed a contract. And even though like I did have the evidence to be like this is a toxic work environment, and I think they were afraid of me going public, they were also nice to let me out of my contract with just like no hard feelings about it. And they were very sweet about like apologizing for like that behavior, but like and they were like, we can have the guy apologize to you, but I just didn't want to. I was like,
What? You don't
I
need
would
some,
need so much more money than 10 grand to be around these people.
yeah, you don't
Like,
need you don't need a fake apology from some fucking loser from fuck him.
yeah, just like you can't put a something before we end this podcast, I really, really, really want to hear about your positive experiences though with Kat and Julia, because I just look up to the three of you so much. And I just think it's so fucking cool that you guys have like known each other for like what, a decade longer?
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I've known Julia. I met Julia in like 2009 or 10, I guess. And Kat, when did I meet Kat? I mean, I've known her for at least a decade because we had our 30th birthday together. So yeah, I've known them both for a while. And yeah, they're both fucking great chicks. Like they really are,
They're so kind.
Yeah, they really are.
I both Kat and Julia I actually thanked them both in the acknowledgments of the book because
Good.
they were just so they were so supportive during the writing process, and, like, now that the books come out, they send me the sweetest text. Like, Kat literally just, like I think my last text from her is just like, "This book you already know this, but this book is amazing, caps lock, like, I can't put it down," and it's just like, she doesn't have to do that, like, I tell her this all the time, but, like, she is my role model for, like, how I wanna treat, like, young New York writers who come after me. Like, she goes out of her way to, like, lift me up and make me feel just good about myself, and I just wanna, like, give that back to, like, young writers who come after me because it's just been oh god, I could, like, tear up thinking about it. It just means so much to me.
No, Kat's a fucking sweetheart, and she actually helped me. She read my book. She helped me with my intro, and yeah, and I'll be definitely hitting her up now with my second book that I'm actually that I'm writing.
I
And
love the intro when you're like, "I've been a slut, I've been a Catholic, I've been a Jew."
yeah,
Like, I loved that. That was great. The
you.
intro was awesome.
Yeah, the intro was good. No, both of them are great. Both of them are amazing. And they're having their own, Kat is really like coming into her own, and she's sober and she's traveling and she's writing her book. And I think I'm
Wait,
gonna
I
hit,
didn't know she was, like is she sober, like, no drinking?
oh, I don't know, actually. I shouldn't say I think I think so, but I don't know.
Okay, no, never mind, never mind, never mind.
I don't know, but whatever.
You
All power to her, no matter what. But I think I'm going to suggest that me and her have our 41st birthday. I just wrote it on. Are you on Threads or no?
No, what is it? What is Threads?
Caroline, get on Threads. I just signed up today.
Okay, you look by the way, you genuinely have to I know in the book you said that you have Bethany Frankel's dermatologist. Who is this dermatologist? You look so fucking good.
It's her esthetician. We see the same esthetician. That's how I got on Roni, because we saw
Yes,
this.
I know.
I had no idea that Bethany was her client. You know what I mean? I'd been seeing her since I'm like 20 or 19 years old. She was the first woman that ever gave me a bikini wax. But she's an
Wow.
amazing facialist, like amazing. I also had laser done, and also like this light is really good. Like my skin is like not amazing. Trust me, it's like the
You
face.
look okay, I'm what laser treatment did you get? I must get it.
Did Fraxel a
What
couple
is
weeks
it?
ago. Fraxel.
Fraxel.
Yeah, Fraxel. I've been doing I do laser. I do a lot of laser. I'm trying not to really I haven't gotten filler in a while. I don't do that anymore. I don't do as much Botox as I used to. Yeah, but I'm really into the skincare for sure. You're 31. You don't have to really worry about it yet. But it's good to start when you're in your early 30s, honestly. You should start now doing whatever, with the laser.
Yeah. You look phenomenal, phenomenal. But yeah, you and Kat should absolutely have your 41st birthday party together. Do you have any stories? But I will literally fly to New York just for it. But do you have any like stories about like times with you and Kat or you and Julia? Because I would just gobble that shit up.
Okay.
I would eat that for breakfast, lunch, and dinner if you had any of those anecdotes.
Me and Kat, I mean, um one of our fun nights was definitely this night that like Page Six was like doing a story on her, and we went out and like I don't know, we ended up it was a really fun night. It really was. We started at like Surf and Mint's studio, and then we ended up at the box at like 5 in the morning. And I think there was some drama at the box, but I can't like fully like remember like what it was. Like one of us made out someone, maybe we made out with each other, me and Kat. I can't really totally remember. She's really so stunning. She looks like a doll, that face. It's just like, what? Oh my God, I can't. I mean,
I know she's literally so incredible.
she's a queen. She's an actual queen. She really is. And she's so like, oh my God. Well, you have to listen to the podcast with her on it. She was so fucking funny, and she came in hot. I was like, go Kat. Like Kat came in like, yo, it's Kat Marnell. I was like, okay. She's so great. She's so like kooky and cool.
I swear to fucking God, I have my next scandal is definitely going to be the very poor working conditions here at CCHQ Book Factory. It's grueling labor. It's like you're on your feet 14 hours a day. no breaks. There's definitely some elder abuse going on because I'm making my mom work on gluing these books together with me. And whenever she like pulls out her phone, I'm like, no breaks. Like it's
So
very,
your mom are like doing it together though. I love
yeah.
that.
One of the reasons I moved down here is relate is maybe the wrong word because I'm friends with you and or new friends with you and not here. And you're the mom, not the daughter, but like I very much grew up with like a strong bond with my mom. And part of moving down here was, I could have moved anywhere that was not where I could be isolated to write the book. But I chose to be isolated near my mom because she's had cancer twice and it'll come back someday. But I just want to spend all the time I can with her. But yeah, and I just love her so much, and I love that Kier's gonna grow up with that. Except I can't imagine what it's like having such a fucking hot mom. My mom's beautiful, but she's like also it's more like Andrea Swift sort of vibes, like it's giving mom. It's not giving like tell me who your esthetician is sort of vibe, like she doesn't bring out my Gollum voice asking for her like beauty secrets.
You're so funny. Yeah, no, I think Kiki appreciates that that I can look fly sometimes, but she thinks I'm like a big dork, yesterday,
There is no way she thinks that. There is no fucking way she thinks that. No, no, I'm sorry. There's just like no, it's rude to lie to guests on your podcast like that. Has anyone ever told you it's rude to lie to guests on your podcast? She must think you're the coolest person in the world.
Even like I'm sure even Madonna's kids think she's a dork, okay? And that's Madonna. Like, so it's like it doesn't matter, it's your kid,
Yeah.
That's a beautiful note to end on.
Yes. I am but I need one more wild story from the page 6 night. Like you didn't even say how that story ended. I'm sorry. I'm still we were at the box, we were kissing, and then somehow like we're like ending on the note of like how much we love our mom. No, we're ending at the box at page
I know,
6.
but I can't.
What happened?
We
I
only
love the cat anecdotes.
I only have less than a minute on this Zoom, and I have to go get my hair dyed.
Oh my god. Okay, well, I'm dying. We will continue this someday with an iconic you, me, and Kat on one episode of the pod. How great would that be?
We need to make
It
that
would be so great.